Let me start with a story today. If you remember 26/11 attack on Mumbai, you will know that it was just few men who entered via sea, had rocked the financial capital of our country and terrorized the whole nation. But very few will know that we already had the intelligence input of such an attack, but the only problem was that we did not have a framework, we did not have the SOPs, and we did not know how to carry out the interstate cooperation for that intelligence input that had arrived. So what did India do after that? India established National Investigation Agency, which made sure to work as a point in order to ensure that this is not repeated again. But almost 2 decades away from such a tragic event, we get to see that yet again terrorism is striking our country. You have to remember Pahalgam terror attack, you have to remember Pulwama, and this not only shows that even though we were ready, the nature of terrorism is evolving. And that is why India has decided to give an answer back and be ready in the form of new counter-terrorism policy PRAHAR, which will not only standardize the framework of counter-terrorism but also work as a single point to ensure that there is zero tolerance for terror. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about PRAHAR, the new counter-terrorism policy that has been released officially by Ministry of Home Affairs, which outlines one clear objective that India will do whatever it takes and India will formalize and structurize and standardize in such a way that we don't have to suffer from such terrorism in one way or other. And India has always stood at forefront of the global counterterrorism move, and this is yet another way of showing that we are preparing ourselves in order to prevent, do away with such kind of terrorist attacks. So when we are talking about PRAHAR, it has been released as India's new national counter-terrorism policy, and this has been put forth to outline that we will have a zero tolerance framework if we are talking about terrorism. Now this has been released by Ministry of Home Affairs and it is a wholesome, comprehensive framework which will ensure that the evolving terrorism, the changing face of terrorism is addressed in all ways possible, be it prevention, be it coordinated response, capacity building and also adherence to the law. Now we will be understanding this in detail, but this is the place we also need to discuss that why we had to come up with PRAHAR. Why was the need of this? What were the situations which were going on real time? So for that, first I would like to start with the structural weaknesses which were already present in our system. So when we are talking about structural weaknesses, the first and the most vivid and dangerous thing was the institutional weakness itself. So when we are talking about counter-terrorism and the strategy and the framework at the national level, we need the institutions to be strong. But the problem was that we did not have counter-terrorism units in multiple states. The problem was that manpower was limited and it was varying across the states. It was not only the manpower that was inconsistent, it also led to inconsistent expertise, no proper dedicated infrastructure and so much more. Similarly, another huge weakness and a challenge at the systemic level was the legal and procedural gaps. Now the problem here is when we are looking to target something as evolving, as dynamic as terrorism, you need proper frameworks and procedures set in place. So on the basis of that, the prevention, the coordination and everything can take place. But as of now, we did not have any standard protocols, we did not have proper allocated special codes, and if there were any, they were limited. And to add to this, we had the problem of coordination. I started with the story of intelligence input back in 26/11 attack. This was the main problem in the system then as well, and this is still a problem because NIA might have been established, but we are still poor in terms of intelligence sharing, and if multiple agencies have to coordinate, the response is delayed, the response is fragmented. And as a result emerged a need for a proper conceptualized thought of framework which can serve the whole nation, which worked as an understanding that we need a Prahar policy. So when we are talking about the word Prahar itself, it means attack. We are going to attack which is causing problem not just to us but to the globe itself. Now the need for Prahar policy was not just these challenges but also the fact that the threat, the terrorism itself was evolving rapidly. It is not just sleeper cells anymore. Combine it with the bioweapons, cyber technique and so much more, we get to see that a nation is not threatened only by bombs. There are multiple weapons that have formed over here that need to be understood, that need to be delegated and prevented as well. And because of this threat landscape which is evolving, we need something which has a standard protocol, there are proper manpower, expertise allocated to it. Furthermore, when we are talking about threat landscape, it is not just about what can be used, it is also about how it can be used. It can be used within a region, it can be facilitated from border, it can be state sponsored, and there are safe havens, instability areas. For example, Myanmar's instability has always been the reason that it has been able to give refuge to other external powers, for example China. It has always been Pakistan which has facilitated state sponsored terrorism. So how to address the regional security concerns as well. And then comes the systemic gaps that we have talked about. So all these called for a overhaul, a structured addressal to a problem that we are not facing in certain parts but as a nation as a whole. So we have understood that yes, there was a problem and the solution that has been given is Prahar. But how is this the solution? What is exactly that Prahar is going to do? Now let us move towards that. So when we are looking at Prahar as a whole counter-terrorism policy, the main thing that has been first highlighted here is what Prahar basically aims. Basically, what is the objective here? So it has been clarified and outlined that Prahar aims to ensure that we will be stopping attacks before they happen. Furthermore, we will be also focusing on strengthening the coordination between central and state agencies. We will be focusing on protecting human rights but at the same time following the legal procedures, and we will be also reducing the conditions which encourage terrorism. That means anything at all, economically, society-wise, politically, which facilitates or helps the terrorism as an act, that will also be worked upon. So it is not just about stopping the attack, it is basically cutting the power supply to whole of this ecosystem. The focus is also on working on global partners because they know this is not something that can be done only internally. There are safe havens present, there is state sponsorism that is present. Furthermore, they want to also focus on communities so that they are able to recover if they have been targeted and they remain resilient in order to stay away from terrorism also, and also if they have been targeted by terrorism. Furthermore, Prahar also keeps a very clear objective that they want to tackle all the new and also high-tech threats. We are not, as I started it, they're not just about stopping the bombings. Any kind of threat to our national security, be it through cyber means, be it through bio means and more. And this policy also clearly highlights that it is going to look into cross-border terrorism, extremism. It is going to focus on usage of technology, not just in forms of drones and digital tools, but online propagandas, recruitment and encrypted communication, which was highlighted, if you remember, just after Pahalgam attack, that there was a Turkish handler involved in this whole situation. And Prahar aims to do all of this through a proper coordinated framework which has been also put forth. So, India will be responding through a proper, proactive, intelligence-based driven approach. Now, what is that approach? Let us try to understand. So, what has been done? The first thing, the coordination. So what has been done? As coordination was issued, real-time coordination has been targeted. How that will be done? That will be done through a proper multi-agency center. Now, the inconsistency in manpower, in infrastructure, expertise has been addressed through this. And there will be a presence of joint task force, especially for intelligence. Furthermore, the PRAHAR policy is also going to ensure that when we are talking about challenges, especially related to border and security forces which lack modern technology, they are going to be equipped with that. And because when we are talking about intelligence, it can come from anywhere, but that needs to be responded well with. So they will also ensure that local police acts as a first responder and they get proper support from NSG and all special forces in any scenario at all. Furthermore, they are going to focus conduction of investigation through NIA and state police so that there are no future attacks of such scenario. They are going to focus on prevention of radicalization. As I said, anything that supports or encourages terrorism will be targeted. And PRAHAR also focuses on stopping extremist thinking, and that will be done not through power but through persuasion. They will be working with community leaders, NGOs, moderate religious figures, education of youth, women, addressing all the social as well as economic vulnerabilities which encourage extremist thinking as well. So all in all, what is happening here is that PRAHAR is going to become a proper framework where we can have a standard counter-terror architecture. There will be a uniform organizational structure available in all states, and it is also going to bring operational strength. There will be a defined hierarchy which has been talked about. There will be IG-led units. That means Inspector General of Police will be handling these units. There will be specialized wings and there will be proper standard operating procedures which will be set in place, that how intelligence needs to be handled, how investigation needs to be conducted, what are the operations. So what we are getting to see, that we are not responding after a terror attack has happened. We are not going for reactive response, we are going for a preventive approach. And the focus is targeting the whole terror ecosystem from all the sides, basically dismantling it and ensuring that it crumbles down to dust. So now I have laid out that what exactly PRAHAR is trying to address and achieve and how it will do that. Now this is where we move to the most important part, that why is this significant? This is significant because this marks a transformation, not just a shift, it marks a transformation and it marks an upgrade. We are not bringing in just a security document, we are bringing in a security doctrine, that we are not going to tolerate any kind of terrorism, and we are moving away from just human intel. We are going to focus on tech intel, tech technology, and intelligence driven policing would be done so as to dismantle the whole terror infra which is present. And this is where we are also seeing that it is talking about governance to be done, how it is to be done. Government, central or state, both have to coordinate, and this has been professionalized. Protocol standardized has been set especially for counter-terror agencies, and this is not just for a day or two, for a year or so. A long-term preparedness has been set in through this particular policy. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.